Newburyport now boarding on track 2. Making stops at Chelsea, Lynn, Swampscott, Salem, Beverly, North Beverly, Hamilton Wenham, Ipswich, Rowley, and Newburyport. Last call, 1:30 train to Newburyport, now boarding on track 2.
А мне еще вот это да.
afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Together with the faculties of the College of Arts and Science and the Frank Story School of Management, for the purpose of awarding degrees to candidates who have completed the appropriate degree requirements. By virtue of the authority granted by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and by the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I declare these commencement exercises open. As Chairman of the Board of Trustees, I direct the President of the University to proceed with the ceremonies.
Chairman O'Neill, members of the Board of Trustees of Suffolk University, members of the class of 1999. It is my great pleasure to welcome all of you to this joyous commencement occasion. It is a time of great satisfaction for all of us, but certainly most of all for you who have worked so hard to achieve your goals. And for your parents, and your wives and husbands, and all others who have supported you through some very trying times. We are delighted for your success. I ask you to please remain standing for an invocation by the Reverend Stephen Butler Murray, Suffolk University Chaplain and Director of Campus Ministries. And will you please also continue standing for the invocation, joining with Jim Nelson and the Boston Brass Ensemble in singing the national anthem.
Let us pray. O Holy One, sacred source of all that is good and beautiful and excellent, we ask your presence with us as we have come to recognize the achievement of those we have gathered here to honor. Help us to remember with humility the many gifts we have been given and the heavy obligation that our privilege demands of us. As we praise works that have been so impressively completed, help us to remember those whose very lives begin on the quality of our labor, the generosity of our spirit, and the preservation of our common world. As we sit together in peace and bounty, let us remember those for whom peace and bounty are only a hope or a wish. Be with these graduates, our children, our brothers and sisters, our wives and husbands, and family members and friends as they move through these most promising and daunting days of transition. May their journey into the next calling of their lives be blessed with success and creativity, and the security that only deep connection to other human beings and the earth itself can offer. Help them to focus radically on those truths they hold most deeply, to enact those truths in their work and in their lives, and to be given the gift of gratitude as they go from this place. Be with us now as we celebrate. Amen.
Please be seated. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. I love to hear Jim Nelson sing.
And the time
tough door-to-door campaign and defeated an incumbent state senator. He was elected to Congress in 1982, and in his very first term, he was appointed to the Committee on National Security. There he was the leading Republican opponent of the B-2 bomber and successfully curtailed its excessive production. In 1980, he is a man with a mission, and that mission is to take power and influence away from elites in Washington and return it to the American people. He explains this vision in his best-selling book, Courage is Contagious, which tells the story of ordinary Americans who have selflessly improved their communities and the lives of those around them. This man is wholeheartedly dedicated to renewing the American spirit. It is my great honor and privilege to present the chair of the House Budget Committee and possible candidate for the Republican nomination for President of the United States, the Honorable John Kasich.
Well, what a great day. Graduates, it's a day to celebrate, and everybody's going to be giving you the kudos all day long. But how about if you just take a moment and give a great round of applause to your parents, your wives, your husbands, your kids, who are able to walk right through this great effort to improve their skills. You know, today is a celebration of the fact that you have the discipline to be able to achieve the skills that you need in life in order to succeed. The fact is, our country is open to opportunity for everybody if you're willing to get the skills. It doesn't matter whether you're black or white or red or yellow. In America, if you have the skills, you cannot be denied. And today is a celebration of the fact that you not only recognized it, but you worked each and every day to try to hone those skills, and today is a celebration of your accomplishment. And it is a day to have pure joy for each and every one of you and all the members of your family that can celebrate what you have achieved today. But let me also say that there are a few other things that I believe we need to have in life in order to be successful. The skills are a prerequisite. But let me also suggest to you that taking those skills and combining them with a quality called persistence is a can't miss. But what do I mean by persistence? I mean when you knock on the door and the person says no, you don't walk away and you don't just knock twice. You knock enough times on that door if you really want that door to open until they get so tired of you pounding on that door, they open it up and they let you in. Because what you will find in life is it is not the handsomest, the prettiest, the tallest, the thinnest, or the best performer in your class academically. The people who are the most successful in life are those who simply will not be denied. And I don't believe you ought to ever forget that. Thirdly, I think it's absolutely essential that you live your dreams. You know, in America, you're only limited by how high you want to jump. And I would suggest to you that you only go around this world once in life, and the fact is that you never want to have to look back and say to yourself, why didn't I go for it? Why didn't I try? No matter how big it is, no matter how wild your dreams may be, no matter how high you want to fly, don't let anybody ever shut those dreams down. And you know who has a tendency to do it? Are the people who are closest to you. They're the ones that have the hardest time being able to imagine the heights that you want to jump and the depths that you want to go. And whenever, anytime anybody close to you who loves you tells you what you can't do, you need to look them square in the eye and say, no, I don't need you to tell me what I can't do. I need you to tell me exactly what I can accomplish, and I want you to be part of my effort to achieve my dreams. Now, at the same time you're getting your skills, and at the same time that you're persistent, and at the same time you're trying to live your dreams, there has to be time in a person's life for just pure fun. And today is one of those times. And maybe it's one of the things that we miss an awful lot in life, is the belly laugh, the hand-holding, the walk through the park, and the time to just enjoy pure fun. And in addition to all of that, I think it's essential that we all learn how to like ourselves. And today in America, today in society, one of the hardest things to do in life is to face up to those things that bother us about ourselves and confront them, deal with them, and then enjoy the process of learning to like and love yourself. Because it's only through the process of loving and liking yourself that you can learn to love others and allow others to learn to love you. And if we look at developments in our country lately, we begin to understand that a lack of love and a lack of hope is what contributes to behavior that is beyond many of our comprehension. Graduates, I'm going to tell you, 14 years ago this summer, at about 11:45 p.m., I got a telephone call. It was a phone call from a doctor who told me that my mother and father had been hit by a drunk driver. My father was dead. My mother wasn't going to live for much longer. And the doctor said, come to Pittsburgh and see your mother. It was a moment in time when I had a choice to either reach for the light or to shrink. And thank God my parents did not die in vain, and the message of that experience in my life was the necessity of having a personal faith in God, a friendship in God that will serve you not just through the times of joy to keep you grounded, but also through the times, of the toughest times in life, when the sorrow and the black hole seem inescapable. And if there's only one thing that I would say today that would touch your heart, it's to use the window of opportunity to have a personal faith, to have a friend that you can turn to in the good times and the bad. And graduates, if you take your skills and if you persist and if you have faith and if you like yourself, then you can enter at the same time on a great journey. And frankly, everyone in this auditorium tonight ought to get on the journey of discovering the special gifts that we have. Because I believe that every human being on the face of this earth has some special gifts that God has given them that allow them to use these gifts to change the world in which we live. And many of you never thought about it. Some people find their gifts early. Some people find their gifts later in life. But the fact is we must all search because they are special and unique to us. And what an exciting proposition to be able to use those gifts to change the world in which we live. But graduates, what I want to ask you today is, will you be the generation of Americans that will work to change the human heart again in our society? Because it's what we're all hungry for. Yes, it's true that many of us have become cynical and isolated and polarized and indifferent and really don't hold out the hope that in fact we can regenerate the human heart and connect one of us to one another throughout our society. And the question is, will this be the generation that will fight the good fight and have the hope to touch and change the human heart again in America? Because what we're finding today, graduates and ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that there are very severe limits on what lawmaking can do in our society. The fact is, we're beginning to realize that changing laws has very limited impact in terms of making our lives better. And what we're beginning to realize is what we need in America. What we need in America is a commitment from each of us not to continue to try to change people from the outside in, but what we need in America is a commitment to work to change people from the inside out again in America. The way we were many decades ago. And the fact is as young, hopeful, idealistic graduates in spirit, the fact is, I hope that you will work to renew the faith in America again, that just changing one single human life can make all the difference in the world. To take a kid who is hopeless and make them hopeful, to take a child who is angry and to make them happy, to take a person who is mean and to make them kind, can unleash a current in this universe that in fact can change the world. And we ought not to be cynical about the proposition that we all should be about in our lifetime, based on the good that we've received, committed to the notion of changing one life. As we end the 20th century, there's some givens. Capitalism is the best system in the world to run the economy, there's no question. And democracy is the best way that a people can live together in peace and harmony. We've won those battles. But the battle for the next century lies in whether we can restore the cultural underpinnings in our society. Think about it for a second. The ability to get it right on our own without somebody else telling us what our behavior is. And it requires leadership from all of us. Do I think we can solve all the problems in America just by changing the heart? No, not today. You can't do it all today with just changing people from the inside out, because we've got too many hard exteriors to crack through, too much cynicism to break down, too much negativity to expel. But we ought to be about a two-track process in America today. We ought to be unrelenting in our efforts to change the human heart, while at the same time we will work to rebuild the basic institutions that you celebrate here in Boston. The basic fundamental institutions of the family, the institutions of our communities, the institution of our schools, and the institutions of faith. They are the glue that holds Boston together. They are the glue that holds America together, but they are under attack and they need to be rebuilt and they need to be strengthened in our society. The family, many of you have mates at home. And you know what we find today? Up against the wall. No time. Pressed and stressed. Yes, we need to have flex time for our families so that mom and dad can spend time with their kids. Yes, we do need to cut families' taxes. Yesterday in Iowa, I saw 4 young kids playing with 2 sets of parents in a hotel lobby in Council Bluffs, Iowa. And you know how they got there? They were having a ball because maybe they had a little bit of extra money. You see, folks, we need to give our families a break today so mom and dads can hold each other's hands and spend more time with their children. And yes, although some want to put their heads in the sand, we need to reform our daycare systems in America. And you know what? How about a little bit of liability reform so that if a business wants to have a daycare center right on site, they're not going to be frightened from doing it because they're afraid they're going to be sued. We need to march for America's families. In our communities, we need to run our communities from the bottom up. We need to have a charity tax credit so that when you get out and get that first big paycheck, if you want to give $250 to the Habitat for Humanity rather than to the federal bureaucracy, you ought to be permitted to do it. And we ought to work in this country to stress the mentoring programs so that college students and our senior citizens can work with kids from the ages of K through 12. And yes, we do need to change our schools. We need to provide school choice so that mothers and fathers can make the choices and have the power and make the decisions to put their children in any kind of educational setting where they think they will learn and be peaceful. And we have no right to deny our children their skills, and we should march for this, ladies and gentlemen, every single day. And we should teach character education in the schools, teach our kids about honesty and dishonesty, and make the effort to say to them that these values are precious in a free society. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, we should stop beating up people of faith in America today. Today in America, if you are of faith and you are taking on the toughest task in our society, the changing of a human heart, If you are involved today in an institution of faith fighting homelessness and addiction and loneliness and hopelessness, you ought to be rewarded in America today. We should provide programs to make the institutions of faith and people of faith far more robust in our society. And let me say to all of you today that religion is not about rules. Religion is not about condemnation. Faith in God is not about judgment. It's about those values that we can agree upon that all here in far more unified America. Graduates, you wonder about whether the life of one person being changed can make a difference. Well, you know, many of you wouldn't be here today if in 1903, a young man by the name of Gleason Archer, who had spent the summer on Cape Cod working to earn some money to fight his way through college, injured himself. And Gleason Archer, in a stagecoach ride from Cape Cod to Boston, met a man by the name of George Frost. George Frost took an immediate liking to Gleason Archer, and inquiring of a being has got to work to develop the goodness of another human being. And so George Frost told Gleason Archer, I want you to remember what I've done for you. And Gleason Archer started tutoring 5 men, getting their law degree. And he went to Mr. Frost and said, I'd like to start a law school. And George Frost said, I will help you do it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Casey. We shall now confer honorary degrees. Each candidate for an honorary degree will be presented by a member of the Board of Trustees. I respectfully ask Trustee William J. O'Neill to present his candidate.
Mr. President, we have the honor today to present to you Douglas R. Brown to receive the honorary degree, Doctor of Commercial Science.
Douglas R. Brown, President and Chief Executive Officer of Advent International Corporation, the world's first global venture capital firm, which funds businesses all around the world. You are both captain of industry and visionary engineer. Your undergraduate days at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, where you earned the Bachelor of Science degree in chemical engineering, were followed by your earning a master's, assuming responsibility for the company's investment initiatives in the environmental and process technology fields. In 1990, you were named head of European operations and took up residence in London. 4 years later, you were named Chief Investment Officer, and within another year, you were appointed President and Chief Executive Officer of your firm, which manages $3.12 billion in venture capital and maintains offices in London, Frankfurt, Milan, Hong Kong, Singapore, and Boston. Despite the demands of your office, you've also served as a director of Aspen Technology Inc., Chem Design Corporation, Ionics Inc., Inspector, Cablevision Management, and several of Advent's affiliated European fund management companies. Your prudence and sense of purpose inspire all who know you, and your visionary ability of successfully supporting the investment and development in lesser established countries has won you the admiration and respect of your peers. In recognition of your great professional success and achievement, Suffolk University is proud to confer on you the honorary degree of Doctor of Commercial Science. Latin America, for Dell Computer Corporation. You have flourished in Europe, Australia, Asia, and and the Americas, with the corporation which is the stock market sensation and one of the world's fastest growing companies. Your authority in the realms of high technology and high finance is unquestioned. Your expertise is unrivaled. You grew up in Hanson, Massachusetts, and earned your Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration at Suffolk University, while working as a security guard at GTE. As a harbinger of things to come, while at Suffolk you served as president of the Finance Club. You began your career in 1983 at Electronics Data Systems in Dallas, and almost from the first, you were tapped for transatlantic service, working in London as European Treasury Manager and on the continent as manager of the Belgium Coordination Center. Your career there culminated with your appointment as International Treasurer Manager, Americas and Asia Pacific. Then she became Assistant Treasurer of Commodore Computer. In a year and a half, you negotiated a breathtaking series of acquisitions and international transactions. In 1989, you came to Dell Computer Corporation as Treasury Manager. In 1993, you were promoted to Vice President Treasury. By 1995, you were in England as Vice President Finance, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. You oversaw a growth in revenue of $2 billion in Europe alone. In 1998, you returned to the United States to become Vice President of Finance, Latin America. In the past year, you have displayed your own entrepreneurial spirit and acumen by founding two separate ventures. The first is a transportation and logistics company with 200 full-time employees serving the continental United States, whose revenues already exceed $50 million. The second, a construction and commercial development company currently building a $25 million business for Central Texas. In recognition of your great achievement in the world of finance, and in recognition of your great work ethic and far-seeing vision, your alma mater takes great pride in conferring on you the honorary degree of Doctor of Commercial Science. Hong Kong, at age 17, with your widowed mother and 6 siblings, and entered high school in Brooklyn, New York. Subsequently, you became a United States citizen and earned a Bachelor of Science degree, a Master of Engineering degree, and a Master's degree in Business Administration. You have received numerous business awards, including the National Turnabout Entrepreneur of the Year, Massachusetts Small Business Person of the Year, one of the first leadership awards to women in business from the New England Council, and the Boston Chamber of Commerce's Pinnacle Award for Achievement in Business. And Loud Technologies earned the Contractor Excellence Award from the United States Army for their work during Operation Desert Storm in 1991, and numerous SBA Administration Awards for Excellence. Another recent award is the Nunn-Perry Award for notable success by the Department of Defense in their Mentor-Protege program. Today, you are truly an inspiration. Selling an inspirational book, Courage is Contagious, you have been called one of the most fascinating men in politics by George Magazine. You are a regular panelist on Meet the Press and appear frequently on Larry King Live. And you've been profiled on 60 Minutes. Newsweek magazine has named you one of its 100 people for the next century. Yet you have not sought celebrity, rather you have endeavored to spread the message that character, integrity, and idealism can rebuild America. Your own career is a shining example of this philosophy. Your stated mission is to take power and influence away from the elites in Washington and and return it to the American people. Run America from the bottom up. Your consistent support of fiscal responsibility and a strong but efficient national defense have earned you numerous awards and honors. Most recently, you were the recipient of the National Journal's 1998 Black Ink Award, given to the individual having the most positive impact on this year's budget debate. And now you stand as a possible candidate for the Republican nomination in recognition of your missionary belief in the goodness of America and your great public service, and in recognition of your great courage, passion, energy, and vision. Suffolk University is most proud to confer upon you the honorary degree, Doctor of Public Administration.
Awesome. Or it might have been a fellow student who gave you a hand when you needed it. We are the Suffolk family. The Suffolk family would somehow always come together to help each other achieve success. And that's why we are here today. Just as families bond together, families also grow and change. The class of 1999 has seen the changes in the Suffolk family. We're the last class to remember when the university didn't have a residence hall. We'll be the last class to graduate law school in Donahue or eat in the Sawyer cafeteria. We share the Suffolk family traditions like orientation, the undefeated football team, and that long, cold trudge up Beacon Hill. And we've helped establish new traditions, including the very first class scholarship, which will be part of Suffolk forever. But it hasn't been all work. Aside from our many informal gatherings, we are the first class to hold a 100 days until graduation party. When we work hard. When we play even harder. Today we look to our futures with unparalleled optimism and hope. As we take new steps in our lives and continue to grow, Suffolk will continue to grow as well. Suffolk is no longer viewed as a place just for Bostonians. We attract students from around the country and around the world. Boston is our campus, and Madrid, and Senegal. We, the class of 1999, the last graduating class of Suffolk University in the 1900s, are about to take the next step in our lives. We've come so far, and we've further to go. But it's important that we remember what got us here. The two brothers I mentioned earlier reached their goal because they helped each other along the way. Our success also comes from working together. And as college graduates, it is our responsibility to teach others the values we have learned here at Suffolk. As Henry Adams said, a teacher affects a journeyman. He can never tell where his influence stops. No matter where we go, or where our lives take us, we should try to be that kind of teacher. We'll miss Suffolk and the whole Suffolk family, but we are eager to start the next phase of our lives. And so let me thank our college administrators, dedicated faculty members, and the friends and families who have made our achievements possible. And now, for the family portrait.
Thank you and congratulations, men. We shall now confer the degrees.
Studies, please rise. And will the candidates for the Bachelor of Science in Journalism please rise. Mr. President, trustees of Suffolk University, on behalf of the faculty of the College of Arts and Sciences and by its authority, I present to you these candidates. I declare that they have fulfilled all the requirements of the faculty of the College of Arts and Sciences for their respective degrees.
By virtue of the authority delegated to me by the Board of Trustees and by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I confer on you the appropriate degrees of Associate in Arts, Associate in Science, Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Fine Arts, Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Science in General Studies, and Bachelor of Science in Journalism, and admit you to the fellowship of educated men and women. Will the graduates please be seated and come to the stage, one row at a time.
Alan Caggiano, summa cum laude. Jason Eric Lehane, cum laude. Deborah Marie Lambert, summa cum laude, Edward Miller. Kimberly Ann Innocent. Jill Elizabeth Lucille. Alyssa Mitchell. Jennifer Lee Myers, cum laude. Elaine T. New. Lydia T. New. Jason Michael Nicholas. Joanne O'Brien. Donna Holmes O'Connor, cum laude. Irene Patrick. Melissa Painter. Christina E. Lagorio Palacios, cum laude. Janine Marie Ellis Palacios. James N. Paradis. Anne Marie Devon. Corey H. Peterson. William Lennis Petrol III. Nancy A. Pinhole. Elizabeth Ann Pine, cum laude. Lauren S. Rodriguez. Rafael A. Chaparro Romero. Lori K. Turner. Ryan A. Truesdale. Ian Teresa Lipatu. John Robert Vanessa. Christina.
Will the candidates for the Master of Education degree, please? By virtue of the authority delegated to me by the Board of Trustees by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, I confer on you the appropriate degree of Master of Arts, Master of Science in Computer Science, Master of Education, Master of Science, Master of Science in International Economics, Master of Science in Criminal Justice, and Master of Science.
Charles A. Brannigan, cum laude. Maureen Keating.
Will everyone please now rise for the benediction by Reverend McMurray.
Let us join our hearts and minds in prayer. O Creator and most Holy Spirit, walk with these graduates as they leave this place to continue their life's journey. Let us remember that each new journey begins from a certain space, where we formulate and learn the tools and courage to take that first bold step forward. For us, this university is now and will continue to be such a space. Let us remember the well springs of what we have gained here: information and wisdom, life lessons and new experiences, mentors and friends. Bless these new graduates who have worked so hard in their studies, and indeed in becoming who they are today. We thank you for those who have taught and worked beside them, and all who loved and encouraged them along the way. Grace us with the character to speak out for the dignity and well-being of others. Fill our hearts with a passion for justice and a commitment to peace. And may our excesses be only excesses of generosity and love. Peace be with you all. Amen.
This brings the last commencement of this millennium to a close. I now ask Marshal James T. Salini, representing the 25th anniversary class of 1974, to lead the recessional as University Marshal.